Once upon a time, in a city made of gold and sand, where the wind carried secrets and the stars told stories, a tale began that the world would never forget. His name was Aladdin, a boy with no gold in his pocket, but more life in his eyes than the whole city combined. Every evening, he came home to the same empty pot and the same kind face waiting for him. His mother asked for nothing and still gave everything. That afternoon, a stranger watched from the shadows. His eyes were cold, but his smile was warm. He had traveled far, and he had found exactly what he needed. He called himself family. He brought gifts and spoke of love. But a mother's heart always knows when something is wrong. The next morning, they walked far beyond the city walls. The sand stretched wide, and the sun beat down hard. Aladdin followed, curious and unafraid. The stranger threw powder into the fire and chanted strange words. The ground trembled, cracked, and opened wide. Below, a golden light breathed like a living thing. Down he went, one careful step at a time. The torch in his hand danced against the cold stone walls. Somewhere far below, something ancient was waiting. Nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. Gold trees, gem fruits, rivers of light. The whole world's treasure, sleeping quietly underground. But the old man wanted none of the gold. He wanted only a small, dusty, forgotten lamp. Aladdin picked it up gently, not knowing why it mattered. At the top of the stairs, the stranger reached down and demanded it. Aladdin held on tight. Something in his heart told him not to let go. The man's kindness vanished like smoke. He raised his hands, and the stone slammed shut. And just like that, Aladdin was buried in darkness. He sat still for a long time. The dark was heavy and the silence was heavier. Then, by accident, his fingers touched the ring. Silver light filled the cold black air. A gentle spirit appeared and bowed before him. "One wish," it said. "Speak, and I will listen." "Home," Aladdin whispered. And in a breath, the cave was gone. He was standing on his own familiar floor, lamp still in hand. His mother tried to clean the old dusty lamp. The room exploded in gold and teal smoke, and from inside it rose the most extraordinary being either of them had ever seen. "What do you wish for?" the great voice asked. "Just food," said Aladdin quietly. And the table filled itself, end to end, with more than they had ever dreamed. Days passed and then weeks. The empty pot was never empty again. For the first time, his mother laughed without worry in her eyes. One afternoon, the streets filled with flowers and music. A royal palanquin moved through the city like a golden cloud. And inside it, a princess the whole city loved. Aladdin stood at the edge of the crowd and could not move. He had never felt this way about anything. His hand found its way to his heart, all on its own. He sent his mother to the palace with a bowl of shining gems. She walked those grand marble halls with small, nervous steps, and placed before the Sultan the most beautiful things he had ever seen. The Sultan leaned forward, eyes wide, breath caught. He had seen treasure before, but not like this. He smiled, and that smile changed everything. That night, Aladdin made his greatest wish. The genie rose into the sky and began to build. By morning, a palace stood where only open ground had been. They were married as the whole city celebrated. Petals fell like warm rain, and music filled every street. The Sultan wept happy tears and called it the finest day of his life. But far away in a dark chamber, the magician looked into his orb. He saw the palace. He saw the boy. He saw everything. And his quiet fury became a dangerous plan. He disguised himself as a simple merchant. He walked the streets calling out in a cheerful voice, "New lamps for old," he sang. "New lamps for old." The princess found the old lamp and thought nothing of it. "A fair trade," she said, and handed it over. She did not know she had just given away everything. The moment the lamp was in his hands, he rubbed it and laughed. He commanded the genie with one cold, pointed finger. And the palace, the princess, and all of it vanished into the sky. Aladdin returned to find nothing but bare earth. He stood in the silence for a long time. Then he remembered the ring. The Sultan rose from his throne with trembling fury. His daughter was gone, and he needed someone to blame. Aladdin stood before him, head bowed, heart racing. In the empty field, he rubbed the ring one more time. Silver smoke rose in the gray air like a quiet prayer. "Take me to her," he said. "That is all I ask." He appeared in a strange red desert, and there stood his palace. He looked up and saw her face in the window. She saw him, and her hands pressed against the glass. They sat close and spoke in whispers. She had a small vial and a calm, brave heart. Together, they made a plan simple enough to work. She smiled across the dinner table as if nothing was wrong. She poured the powder in so gently, he never saw a thing. She handed him the goblet and waited. The villains slept like stone. Aladdin reached in, 2 careful fingers, and drew the lamp free. Not one breath was wasted. Not one sound was made. He held the lamp and for a moment just breathed. Then he rubbed it with everything he had. "Take us home," he told the genie. "Take us all home." The palace rose from the red desert and moved like a ship through the clouds. Below, the city looked up in silence. And then it landed perfectly right where it always belonged. The Sultan ran to his daughter and held her like he would never let go. The city burst into celebration from every corner, and Aladdin stood quietly in the middle of it all, finally at peace. They ruled with kindness, and the city loved them for it. The lamp stayed safe, and the wishes stayed few. Some people are just meant to do good with what they are given. And so the boy who had nothing became the man who needed nothing more. The lamp glowed softly in the evening light, and the story was complete.